our chairman, the UN Resident Coordinator for Ghana, Mr. Charles Abani, our guest of honor, Professor Adebayo Lukushi, members of WACSI's governing board, former and current, the UN Resident Coordinator for Nigeria, Mr. Matthias Schmale, ECOWAS Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, and Dr. Abdul Fattah Musa, and colleagues of his who are here, Dr. Remy Ajibewa, the Director, Human Security and Civil Society Department for ECOWAS, Dr. Sintiki Ugbe, other ECOWAS partners and colleagues here present, international development partners from INGOs, bilateral and multilateral institutions, our comrades in solidarity and civil society colleagues, many of whom have been partners and friends since the establishment of WACSI, some even part of WACSI's formation, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. All other protocols observed. After all, I'm in Nigeria. So I cannot miss that, considering that it is very important. It's even been exported outside Nigeria. We say it in Ghana now a lot. All other protocols observed. On behalf of the West Africa Civil Society Institute, WACSI, I'd like to warmly welcome you all, our esteemed guests, to the launch of WACSI Node in Abuja, Nigeria. The fact that so many of you accepted our invitation to join us to mark this milestone in the life of our organization highlights your support for and solidarity towards WACSI's mission and its essential role in supporting the resilience and growth of civil society in Nigeria, in West Africa, and the continent at large. To say that I'm glad that this day has come will be an understatement. For me, it's like a deja vu experience. Let me tell you a brief story. In 1997, 1998, I was a young, bright-eyed lawyer working for the African Commission on Human and People's Rights in the Gambia and in charge of promotional activity. One key task that I had was to review the applications of civil society organizations that applied for observer status to the commission. And as a result, I engaged several civil society organizations. My decision to stay in the social justice space, working with civil society organizations, was very much influenced by one thing: the dynamism and activism of civil society organizations and activists from Nigeria in particular, who showed courage, commitment, and sheer grit and determination to fight for democracy in Nigeria. This was the time that Sani Abacha was at his worst. I was greatly inspired. And later, when I served as the country coordinator of Nigeria for the Open Society Initiative for West Africa from 2006 for 3 years, I worked closely with several of them who were then leaders in the civil society space. And I can say without a doubt that my work here in those 3 years has been one of my best working experiences so far. So you understand why today is so special, not only for WACSI, but for me personally. Coming back to Nigeria with the WACSI Node is like coming back to my second home. I do wish, though, that I was coming back to a political, economic, and social context and a civil society environment in West Africa and in Nigeria that was much better than it was when I left at the time that I did in December 2006. Unfortunately, that's not the case. We are in perilous times. This is a critical time in our democratic journey, and the role of civil society is even more heightened and also questioned in the response to the post-COVID challenges, global economic crisis, and growing discontent among our people, as many express their angst with the lack of dividends from the democratic project. In the past 2 years, this situation has created fertile ground for the return of military coups in some parts of West Africa, One has to mention what has also been termed constitutional coups, the manipulation of constitutions by incumbent governments to prolong their terms of office. These are clear signals that there is democratic retrogression, and in a region plagued with other challenges, including Islamic militant insurgency, disputed elections, restriction of media freedom, and restriction of civic space, inadequate citizen participation in their own governance, and weak oversight institutions. This is something that is important for us to look at. The region is at a crossroad, and for Nigeria, the 2023 elections would pose a key test of the strength of the country's democracy. Civil society in Nigeria has a significant role to play in responding to these challenges. Nigeria's position in Africa's geopolitics cannot be underestimated, and a strong civil society in Nigeria bodes well, not only for Nigeria, but for West Africa and indeed the continent as a whole. Over the past decade, civil society has grown in importance and is well regarded for its various roles in society. In Nigeria's development, the significance of CSOs cannot be overemphasized. They have been and continue to be the force driving good governance, social change, and economic empowerment. Civil society organizations in Nigeria are important and influential players in the sectors of education, health, civic participation, good governance, elections, and the environment. And they have also been invaluable in the fight against inequality, poverty, and injustice, and have intervened in issues related to human rights, gender empowerment, and youth development. The COVID-19 pandemic validated the critical role of CSOs in Nigeria. Notwithstanding these developments, CSOs in Nigeria continue to face challenges, including technology access and affordability, cybersecurity challenges, dwindling donor funding, inflexible grant agreements and reporting mechanisms, weaknesses in networking and coordination within civil society, weakening institutions as a result of the lack of investment in strengthening the institutions and not just supporting project delivery, and a marginalization of civil society within the policy space. Added to these are the increasing constraints to the civic space, which would limit their effectiveness. Over the years, we have witnessed a keen and overwhelming interest in and demand for WACSI's programs and services by civil society actors in Nigeria. This influenced our decision to establish a physical presence in Nigeria. Nigerian CSOs will now have greater and easier access to WACSI's programs, products, and services to enhance their knowledge capacity and strengthen their institutions, their governance, their management, their operations. This would enable them to strengthen their efficiency, their effectiveness, their influence, resilience, and sustainability. The WACSI Node, which is based here in Abuja, will serve as a liaison office and connects the different types of civil society organizations, organs, and actors, not only NGOs, and their partners, development partners, to the various service offerings provided by WACSI. These include training, mentoring, and coaching to strengthen capacity in institutional governance, management, and operations, like I said, as well as providing space for civil society actors to connect and strategize on issues pertaining to development. The WACSI Node will enable us to work with partners in Nigeria to strengthen civic space in the country and address resourcing challenges for civil society organizations with a focus on exploring alternative sources of funding and strengthening local philanthropy. A major aspect of WACSI's operations in Nigeria will be to support the technology needs of CSOs and civic actors, hardware, software, technology capacity, dealing with cybersecurity issues, as well as advocating for better policies. In relation to this, we are inviting you today to participate in the technology conversation and exhibition, which will be after this launch. WACSI's presence in Abuja, the home of ECOWAS, a long-standing partner of WACSI, will also serve to enhance the collaboration between the two institutions to strengthen civil society's capacity to enable their effective engagement with ECOWAS. Let me use this opportunity to thank WACSI's partners, the Open Society Initiative for West Africa, USIWA, which has continued to support WACSI, now a part of OSF Africa, And another key institution which supports the work that we do in Nigeria so far, Ford Foundation, as well as the Nigeria INGO Forum, which has also supported some of the work that we do in Nigeria. They continue to support our work in Nigeria and the region. Your Excellencies, distinguished civil society colleagues, media partners, ladies and gentlemen, we are delighted and grateful to have you all here to support the launch of our efforts to contribute to a strong, influential, resilient, and sustainable civil society sector in Nigeria that can only contribute effectively to the peace, security, and prosperity of Nigeria and West Africa. And we look forward to working closely with you to make this happen. Thank you very much and welcome once again.